Hello, and welcome to X-Men Apocalypse Review. Yeah, so, as usual, we're going to do a little bit at the beginning, completely no spoilers, tiny bit, just my thoughts on the film with no context. And then I'm going to go in a longer talk. Still no spoilers, just giving my thoughts on a bit more in depth. And then maybe I'll do a tiny little ramble of things. Maybe. So, yeah, let's fucking do this. So, X-Men Apocalypse is mediocre. It's a weird thing to do because I really love the X-Men and I can get really angry about the first X-Men films, but I don't know if it's just I don't have the energy in me, or it's just not the worst X-Men film and by no far the best. Deadpool is still the best X-Men film and still has the best version of any X-Men characters ever. But it's not painfully bad at any point. There's a lot not to like, and there's a few things to like. I didn't leave angry. I didn't leave hopeful of the series. I really wish Bryan Singer would just fuck off, because he doesn't know what he's doing. Like, just fuck off. Seriously, you don't know what you're doing, and it hurts. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend going to see it in the theatre. Wait for it to be out on DVD or any of your streaming services of choice. Yeah, it's nothing to be excited about. It feels like we're back in the early 2000s with like Blade and shit, where there's just making superhero movies for the fuck of it, you know? Kind of like the original X-Men, directed by Bryan Singer. I think he's probably the only director I genuinely don't like, because he just keeps fucking up things I like a lot. Like, I think there was a Dorkly comic, if you go on the site Dorkly, they did a little X-Men comic with Bryan Singer, about Bryan Singer, what I thought was pretty funny and pretty much true, and I kind of liked it. So yeah, there's the little bit's going to go on if I keep talking like this. Yeah, it's not great, it's not bad though. If you want to see it, I guess go and see it. I think you'll like this film. If you like the early Bryan Singer films and still like X2, if you like X2, you might like this. Because it still has the same thing if it's good, because Nightcrawler's in it, which I think... I don't think you'll like this film if you like the X-Men. If you liked First Class or Days of Future Past, you probably won't enjoy this film massively. It's a definite downgrade. So yeah, let's go into the longer talk. We're going to do characters. I'm drinking water. I've had a headache for about a month. I might be dying. I genuinely might be dying. Probably not. Probably fine. Characters. I get Jean Grey and Scott Summers. They are the best representation of these characters in the films. Doesn't mean they're good. It means they're better than Funky Jackson and the dude from Superman Returns. I don't know what else the guy who played Scott from the old films is in. They're the two actors. The dude who plays Scott, I don't know who your name or what you've been in or anything about you. The Sophie Turner who plays Jean Grey, I just know because she's Sansa in Game of Thrones. They're both fine. I wish they got more to do, which wasn't either exposition or plot stuff, or like they kind of get, it feels like the characters are a little bit more understood and they get to do a little bit more, but they still don't get to do much, which, like all the other X-Men films except from First Class, Bryan Singer doesn't realise the X-Men are about characters and would rather shitty special effects, I think, is his fucking awesome explosions in Egypt. Yeah, and not, hey, these two characters, we're getting to see their romance blossom. Wouldn't it be cool if we actually got to fucking see that? But yeah, they are better versions of than they've ever been in the film, but that's really not saying much. I did kind of enjoy them though, because Scott was cooler. And they did some cool stuff with his beams, optic blast, yeah. Then we have Nightcrawler. Also, probably gets to say even less than he did in X2. Like, He either says a quippy little joke, and that's about it. But they do show off his powers, and they're pretty cool. He looks great. He sounds great. I like that he has like the Thriller Michael Jackson coat throughout most of the film. He's fun. He is fun. This film, I thought it was going to be completely depressing, but with the students, Jean Grey, Scott, Nightcrawler, and there's another student I'm not thinking of. Maybe there's not. Maybe there isn't another student. Maybe it's just those three. Are you sure? Are you sure, Brain? Are you sure about this? I think so. Maybe there is someone else, but they're completely unforgettable. That could be it. Yeah, they are when they are interacting, it's fun, and it's like, wow, if we had a better person directing this film who actually cared, this could be something. And I think they all look cool. Nightcrawler especially does look cool. I've never been great with like the carvings in his skin. Don't know why they needed to keep that. They rebooted. You didn't need to make it all that. But yeah, he's fine. And Quicksilver, because it's like the most backhanded compliment I can do. He has the best scene in the film, but it's probably really at the wrong time. Like, the bit that happens just before and after that scene in the middle feels really thematically kind of weird. And it also isn't as good as the one from Days of Future Past. It's a copy and paste of that scene, but it's way longer. They changed the song, and they try to make it funnier, which sometimes doesn't work. But yeah, it's still probably the best scene in the film. Probably shouldn't have been where it was, just because of like emotionally it kind of messes with stuff. And yeah, but it's a good scene. He's just as good. His character, well, I think we all like Quicksilver because of that scene, and then we want him back in Days of Future Past. The thing with this, though, is you go, oh wait, they don't know what to do with his character, and literally his story has frozen. He doesn't. It's something I'm going to get into more, but his character is kind of frozen in time a little bit, which is fucked. Guess Charles and Eric, they finally put Professor X in a wheelchair the whole film, which was nice of them to do. You've probably seen in the trailers that he goes bald. Probably actually the plot of this film is how Charles Xavier goes bald. It's pretty much the only really important thing of this film. He's fine. He really doesn't get to do much. He doesn't. One of the best bits of the other film is when he interacts with Michael Fassbender. They get very little of that, and when they do, it's not great. But yeah, he's still good, but isn't given enough to do, which I can say about most characters. Magneto, he's given more reason to hate humans, which I didn't think he needed. And yeah, his whole character arc in this film, he's in a different place to where he was at the actually no, his whole character arc is just getting him back down to a medium, I guess. It's just kind of, and again, other films, the best part is when he interacts with James McAvoy as Professor X, and they get very little of it, which is very sad. I do Apocalypse because he's the big bad. He looks weird. His voice is weird. For some reason, they covered up one of the most charismatic actors of recent times in a fuck ton of makeup and a weird voice. Don't know why they picked Oscar Isaac to do it. Apocalypse himself is okay. He's not as good as he's in the comics. Like, he's not really that threatening at any point. He really doesn't get to do anything. He has Magneto on his team, even though Magneto is way a better villain in the film than Apocalypse is. Probably, yeah. His powers are sometimes pretty interesting to look at, but most of the film is him rounding up team members and making them little suits to wear. But yeah, he's not a great villain. I really don't have much energy to be angry or even about this film. We then have Warren Worthington III, which he's never called. He's just Angel or Archangel. He's They do some very cool stuff with his powers. Like, they make Angel pretty intimidating, which is really kind of cool. But he isn't Warren from the. If you're like, finally, I know they did Warren in X3, but now we finally got Warren. I'd say the actual character of Warren in X3 is closer to the comics than this one is. Yeah, he's always like topless and a punk rocker for no real reason, and yeah, it's weird. It's weird. He isn't great, and I guess I don't know if this is a spoiler, but we won't really have to worry about him after this film for some fucking reason. Then I have Psylocke. Different. Olivia Munn. I think she is Asian in real life, isn't she? Which is sad, because I think they're counting her as the point where she's the Asian character, so we don't get the point where they can fucking kill her and recast her as someone else, because Psylocke in this film is utter shit. She's better than the Psylocke in X3, which isn't hard, because you probably forgot Psylocke was in X3, which again, Kid Omega, Quentin Quire, and fucking Psylocke are both in X3, and they're bad. But yeah, her costume looks alright. It does look kind of like a cosplay more than anything else. But you wouldn't, if they didn't call her Psylocke, you wouldn't know she's Psylocke. She has her powers, but she doesn't really do anything. She's just not that character. They kind of hint at her and Warren having relations. That doesn't go anywhere. They hint to her having bigger stuff in later films, but it really shouldn't be. I hope. Just fucking, I'm sorry. She could have been any other mutant. It feels like they had Angel, they had Storm, which we'll get to, and they had Magneto, and they're like, we need another Horseman. Who do we? Actresses. I guess Olivia Munn's not doing anything. Who could she play? She's slightly Asian. Psylocke. She'll be Psylocke. She could have been any other mutant in her position. Could have been Rogue. Probably would have made cooler sense and been cooler if she was Rogue. I guess that wouldn't work time-wise. Nah, that wouldn't work time-wise. Probably would have been cooler though. Recast Rogue. That would have been great. Yeah, she's Psylocke sucks in this film. She's bad. Bad times. We have Storm. It's Mohawk Storm. Fuck yeah, Mohawk Storm. She's fine. She really doesn't, as most characters, doesn't really get to do much. If you've seen that, if you live in England and have seen that, I think it's Sky Broadband. I think it's a Sky Broadband ad with all the mutants hanging out in the mansion and Quicksilver doing stuff. That probably has the X-Men doing more stuff than the film does, and yeah, which is sad. But Storm powers are cool. Storm's cool. I guess her plot kind of makes sense. She's fine, but like most mutants in this film, gets to do very little, and you learn. I wish there was, before Apocalypse, they had done another film, like they'd done a film in between Days of Future Past and Apocalypse, just to set up all the X-Men characters, the young X-Men, so you could have time to give them to breathe and be their own characters. And then, like an Avengers film where you've set up all these little characters, and then you want to do something that's big and doesn't really matter if they have too much talking. You want to do something big and dumb, you can do that with characters you've already set up. But all these characters, you don't know anything about them by the end of this film. You have Havoc, the Lesser Summers, and I went to see this with a friend, and she was like, oh, is Havoc in this film? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, why? Scott's in it. And I was like, yes, yeah, they're probably going to kill him. And yeah, he's not really. It's weird that they kind of forgot about him. Like, he was a reasonable big deal in Days of in First Class, and then he was just in Vietnam. I guess the big problem is, he's like way older than Scott. Scott in this is like, I think he must be 16? 15, 16. And Havoc's got to be like 30, right? Because he was already in his 20s by the time First Class. Then they did it's been like 10 years, 15 years. Like, Havoc, they're meant to be, I'll get to the age stuff. I'll get to there. But yeah, Havoc's fine. Mystique, for some reason, they still think Mystique needs to be a main character. Like, that big of a character. she's completely forgotten everything from First Class and Days of Future Past, like her personality. She could be a different character. Someone else could have morphed and pretended to be Mystique and it would have made more sense. She is not the same character. Remember that whole thing where she was hiding and pretending not to be Blue in First Class, and the whole film was her being like, yeah, mutant power, and she's going to be blue always and naked forever. They might, I guess I'll talk about that thing, which actually excites me. But that whole thing in First Class, yeah, forget that. It's done. It's just done. It's not even a problem. And she's a hero now, which she doesn't need to be a hero. She doesn't need to be. Don't make her a hero. It's fine. Who else is in there? Oh, the trailers in that show Jubilee. She's a cameo again. They picked an actress who looked great. Costume looked cool. She doesn't have a line of dialogue and isn't any more of a cameo than... She's just as much of a cameo as she was in the original X-Men film. Fuck you, Bryan Singer. Oh, also the Blob's in it. If you realised it was the Blob, he's just a cameo. Caliban, he's in it and doesn't really get to do anything. He gets more dialogue than Jubilee though, but most people, which is weird because most people know Jubilee from the cartoons, but no one the fuck knows who Caliban is. But yeah, he's there. Any more mutants that they just fuck over? I don't think so. I was hoping, because you know it's the X Mansion is set up now and it's actually a school. I was hoping for some more cool cameos, but I forgot Beast. Still not Beast. Still, for some reason, like in the comics, Beast mutates throughout the years, and they change it. I think it's just so artists can do a new cool design for Beast. But like this has been like 30 years or whatever. How cool would it have been if we had, like we did have the Beast in the first film, in First Class. It would have been cool if he changed a little bit over time. But they just keep coming up with this weird fucking thing where he has a serum that can just cure his Beast stuff. Why? Just make him blue. It's the X-Men. Bryan Singer, after all this time, still has a problem. Unless it's Jennifer Lawrence and she's naked. Other than that, fuck. God. Yeah, I think that's all the characters in the film. Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't thrilling. But, so the actual plot is Apocalypse comes back and wants to restart the Earth. And like other X-Men films, here when Bryan Singer doesn't know what to do, either Cerebro can be used for something, or they go to Alkali Lake. They're the two plot points that they just throw in if they need something to do, and they do both. Kind of Cerebro's used for a big deal, which seems like it's going to be a really big deal, and then it isn't. It really isn't. So yeah, Apocalypse goes around getting his 4 horsemen, does some big shit that scares the world, then it's going to do something else that seems intimidating, and then there's a big fight and it ends. Like, you could, like, Days of Future Past, there's like the whole thing with Vietnam War and all that stuff in First Class. There's Cuban Missile Crisis, the 80s. Could have done something cool with the AIDS epidemic or something. You know, Apocalypse dealing with that. But no, it's just a big dumb fight and there's really nothing else going on. No one really says anything. Magneto gets angry again at people. Yeah, this is really it. It just kind of meanders along into a big fight. They go to Alkali Lake, as I said. And I don't know if this is a spoiler, you probably saw it in the trailer. Wolverine's there for no fucking reason. Like, they literally go plot, 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 plot. Oh, we're just going to sidetrack to Alkali Lake. Hey, Wolverine. Oh, hey, I hope we don't see you again. Oh, back on the plot, 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 plot. Yeah, it's dumb. It's shot after the fact, clearly. It's just doesn't need to be there. Don't know why it's there. Seriously, don't know. It, like, connects way too much stuff up. Like, it's going to be a bit of a problem if in future X-Men films they bring Wolverine back and he doesn't recognise them or they don't recognise him, and it'll probably be a new actor, so they probably won't recognise him. But I feel they connect way too much X-Men history together in that. It's kind of dumb. Yeah, it's another problem that it's now 30 odd years, or 20 years after First Class, and none of these actors have aged. I kind of understand why you're skipping time. It would have made sense if it was so you could handle another big deal of the era with the X-Men, but they don't in this film. There's literally no reason. Like, I mean, like, how old is, like, Eric Magneto? It would be in his, like, fucking 60s by now, right? Well, it'd be almost 50, around there, I think, at this point. But he doesn't look it. In any way, it's only with James McAvoy. None of these people look right. Havoc's meant to be fucking 30 odd. Hank is meant to be pretty old. Mystique, I guess you can get away with. But then the next problem is going to be, I imagine the next one's going to be set in the 90s, and we're going to say Scott, Jean, Cyclops, no, Scott, Jean, Storm, Nightcrawler haven't aged, like, at all in that time. That's going to be weird. Especially they would have been X-Men for like 10 years. But no, I guess. And then there's the Quicksilver problem in that 10 years since the last film, he's done nothing. Like, he lived in his mum's basement. He's done nothing. Even the character even jokes about, I'm a loser, I haven't done anything, I still live in my mum's basement. Why? Why? And why after 10 years is all the stuff in Days of Future Past, he just didn't contact the Professor ever. I'm assuming if you've watched the trailer as well, they tell you that he's Magneto's son, which is kind of a plot point, but don't worry, it's not that big of a deal for some fucking reason. It makes no sense. Like, I want to be happy about stuff. I left talking about it. I watched it a few days ago, and I spent the weekend trying to think of something. Like, I left kind of I think I left happy because I don't know if this is a spoiler, but they give the X-Men new costumes. Like, I don't think it's that big of a spoiler. They give the X-Men costumes. Not that big of a deal. They find a way. Look out for it, because I was really happy. Don't like Mystique in these films, really. But they found kind of a workaround to give her a white dress after fucking, like, 10 years of films. Over that now, right? It's 2001. Jesus. A long time of films. They finally found a way. They couldn't give her the white dress. You won't see a white dress. But they find a way to give her some white. Which I was like, that's cool. And they do some other costume stuff that's pretty cool. And I was like, oh man, that's okay. And I think that's why I left happy, because it ends on a little bit of a high note, but not plot-wise, as in, costumes. They're not even X-Men costumes. That, like, if you're thinking, oh wait, in Deadpool they showed off Negasonic Teenage Warhead in a New Mutants costume. Fucking awesome. Yeah, you're not seeing that. Don't get your fucking hopes up that Bryan Singer would learn from Deadpool and go, oh shit, man, people like costumes? Weird. It's like comics are meant to be bright and fun or something, but they kind of found a way to give some characters costumes, which I was happy about. But other than that, I don't even know why I was that happy now, or even why I thought it was. You walk away feeling like it's a generic, like when superhero films were starting up again, and you were getting things like Blade. I like Blade 2 though, and Blade 1 a little bit. I don't know. It feels like when you're just getting generic superhero films because I guess. And if it's like Bryan Singer clearly doesn't give a fuck anymore. He just made that, which is the most lifeless superhero film like, I don't like Batman vs Superman, but at least Zack Snyder had a vision. Like, even if I don't agree with his idea, he at least had an idea. It's just Apocalypse is just so soulless. It's just plop there and you go, it's all right. Like, it's like a McDonald's burger of superhero films. You're like, I don't feel great after it, but it was all right while I had it. And I guess it won't be like First Class. I go back and watch Days of Future Past. I go back and watch, but I have no need to ever see this film again. I just kind of sucks. And also, like, after First Class and Days of Future Past, I was like, man, I can't wait for the next X-Men film. These are kind of good. And then I saw Deadpool and I was like, shit, Fox knows. I guess this film was in production the same time as Deadpool, so fine. And I don't even want them to, like, I know they're saying they're doing an R-rated Wolverine, which, cool, good. We probably should have got that already. Give him his fucking costume, please. Let's just fucking do that, please. It's Hugh Jackman's last hurrah. Just give him the costume. And I don't want them to learn that, oh, we need to make everything R-rated now. That's not what I want Fox to learn. I want them to learn, if you do characters that actually, like, Deadpool is, Ryan Reynolds gets it, is pretty much Deadpool from the comic. The costume is fucking spot on. Even the small, just little bit of yellow, and the X symbol on Negasonic Teenager's forehead's fucking arm, and Colossus in his clothes, and his fucking little lines, and his still... Just doing that, it goes a fucking long way. I want Fox to go, fuck, we just need to do what the comics did. We just need to do the thing that's lasted for 60 years and people like. Who would have fucking thought? So yeah, I actually am still a little bit hopeful for the next X-Men film. One, I don't know if Bryan Singer's doing it. I assume he is. He doesn't make anything fucking else, does he? I wish he would fuck off though. Please fuck off, Bryan Singer. Like, I've said worse about you in other videos, but just please go away. Just leave the X-Men alone. Just fuck off. Or put Quentin Quire in it, you know, or Dupe. Not Dupe. Yeah, Dupe. Put Dupe in it. Man, how great would that be? Or Armor. Ow. There's so many fucking cool characters that just need to show up, but they're never ever going to in a million years. Or Rachel Grey. Oh, man. I'm just thinking, they're going like 10 years ahead, so the X-Men are X-Men now for about 10 years, and like, you could fucking do some cool shit. You could just go, and I'm hoping after Deadpool, and they go, oh fuck, if we just do the X-Men. And they go, boop, 10 years ahead, they've seen in this film that having just a big action thing isn't what people fucking want. And they go, okay, if we put all the bits we've learnt together into a film, and they go, oh, people like these characters, we'll do these. Put fucking Dazzler in it, because fuck yeah. Put Quentin Quire in it, because fuck yeah. Put all these characters people like into an X-Men film. That'd be good. And just let them fight the Brotherhood. Actually, I don't know how you could do that, because I don't know if this is a spoiler or not, that they're going to have to do something else to fuck off Magneto in the next film. Like, Magneto won't be the villain. Who could be Mr. Sinister. Yeah, you probably heard. Yeah, Mr. Sinister. I guess Mr. Sinister can work. And then we can get Cable. I guess they need Mr. Sinister for Cable. But that's going to be weird, because they're going to need the really young X-Men. Even though it's meant to be 10 years on, they're still going to be the actors. And it's going to be the young X-Men boning. And, well, a clone of Jean and Scott boning to make Cable. Man, that's going to be weird. Yeah, Bryan Singer's put this all in a very weird position. There's 3 men in that film. Logan, Scott, and if you read the comics, the Professor. All want to fuck Jean. It's very weird. It's a weird little... Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to keep rambling about X-Men. I think you should see this film if you liked X2, or if you just don't really give a fuck and you're just looking for something to see and you're like, oh, it won't hurt me to see this. Yeah, but I would just don't go and see it. Don't do it. If you really want to see it when it's out on, you can wait to see this film. I can promise you that. So yeah, I've been Archie. This has been a review for X-Men Apocalypse. Bye.